Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out Podcast in the Sky with Diamonds. I'm your co-host Mike Miller. Spoiler alert, there is going to be so much swearing on this show, so be prepared. We wanted to let you know where you can find us on the interwebs so you can interact with us. This is going to be an interactive podcast. We want you to @ us. We want you to find us and talk to us. The only way we're going to have a show is if you interact with us. So please find us on facebook.com/podcastsky. We're on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us at the same @handle @podcast_sky. And our official podcast website is podcastinthesky.podbean.com. So check us out, and thank you again so much for listening.
Guys, welcome to Podcast in the Sky with Diamonds. I am your co-host, Meg Muise, joined by the one, the only, Mike Miller.
Hello. What's going on?
The man, the myth, the legend, Andrew Turbesi.
Hello, that is me. I'm flattered.
Yes. All right. So we're so glad you guys are joining us today. Just to get you started, we're going to give you a little bit of background information on how this wonderful podcast started. Last year, I will admit, I was a little high, and I was hanging out in my dorm room with Andrew Turbesi, and I had the realization as we were listening to some of our favorite classic rock bands that I didn't have a podcast that I listened to that explicitly talked about rock music, which, Andrew, I can hear your jelly beans.
Andrew's eating jelly beans right now.
Yeah,
this podcast is brought to you by
Jelly
Jelly
Belly.
Belly.
Jelly Belly, please
Sponsor us.
Yeah.
Or send us free jelly beans.
We'll also take free jelly beans. So I was sitting in my dorm and I realized I didn't have any podcasts that I could listen to that ranted and raved about music. I have plenty that talk about murder and ghost stories.
Shout out Up and Vanished.
And then I kind of thought to myself, well, fuck. Why don't I do it? Right? There's nothing that's stopping me. And Andrew was all for it, but that was a year ago. A few weeks ago, Andrew and I went to go see the Sheepdogs.
It's true.
At City Winery in Boston. And
shout out City Winery. Please send us one.
Yeah, their wine on tap is really good. Like their rosé, loved it.
I'm into it.
Their the Sheepdogs opener, Brent Cowles. I mean, his entire set was amazing, but it was his last song that I really connected with, and it gave me the chills the whole entire time. And Andrew went out to the bathroom, and as he passed the merch table, he noticed that he was out there. And, you know, I'd been talking about the podcast still, and I just wasn't doing anything about it. So Andrew was like, why don't you even talk to him? Like,
basically.
Why don't you see if you can, like, get an interview with him and whatever? And I wasn't going to do it because anxiety.
And then I was like, Meg, do it. Worst thing he says is no. And then she went and did it. And then he was like, yeah, sure.
Here's my Gmail.
And then just on the record, maybe I'll post it on our socials. I got like the most like pure picture of Meg as soon as she sat down, where she was just like a moment of pure joy where I'm just like, wow, look at my best friend go.
Yeah, that was a really big moment for me. And then the Sheepdogs came out and they fucking rocked. First of all,
shout out to the Sheepdogs.
Yeah, we're going to talk about them a little bit too. It's Andrew so kindly put it before we went to the show as the Canadian Allman Brothers Band,
Yes.
which I think is really accurate. Their chemistry on stage is insane. Like, I don't think, I mean, and I've seen like Stevie Nicks, Paul McCartney, and I mean, they rock, obviously. They're the greats. But to see that level of chemistry in a band today absolutely blew my mind. Like, you could tell that.
I am so hyped to see them.
We'll
I
go.
can't wait.
Yeah.
I am so excited.
And they also actually played the cover of the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, they did the
So,
cover for the Allman Brothers
Their
for their
words were
encore.
like, their encore was like, all right, we're going to play a song by the greatest American band of all time.
Yep.
And they played Ramblin' Man.
And it was, I made Andrew stand up with me in the back, and we danced together, and it was beautiful.
It was.
And yeah, and I've known Mike since my freshman year American politics class. He sat behind me, and then him and my queen, my wife, my mom, Alana Griffin, would go downstairs while Mike was working the security desk in my dorm, and we would stay up with him until like 4 or 5 in the morning.
And we just listened to dope music. It was awesome. It was so cool to like nerd out with friends. And so Meg messaged me about 2 weeks ago and was like, yo, you need to be on the show. We need to at least have you as a guest host. And when I was in school, I also did, around the same time that Meg and I met, I was doing my own radio show at school on the radio station at Framingham State University. Shout out, go Rams.
We're all alums, by the way.
And I was doing the show, and it's called Project Playlist, and it was literally me and my friend Sam nerding out about the music that we loved. And so when Meg messaged me, it was kind of like a light bulb, like, we need to do a podcast. And I'm like Meg said earlier, I listen to all the murder podcasts.
It's
I don't
hard
listen
not
to any about music, music is my favorite thing in the world. So it just made more sense to just do our own podcast.
And to be fair, there's not a lot out there. And I mean, I'm kind of a fickle bitch and I'm really picky. So not a lot of them really piqued my interest that I listened to. And it's kind of nice to have a fresh take on old and new music by three very broke millennials whose this is like their entire life. Like, music is...
I spend my money on concerts. I'm not going to lie to you.
Music is what gets me up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know? Like, if I'm having a hard day, put on an American Prayer.
I've been my happiest in my life at concerts. 100%.
It's
the best moments of my life have happened at concerts.
It's euphoric. It's an adrenaline rush.
100%.
You know? Like, some people get it on roller coasters, and we get it from...
seeing our favorite bands.
Yeah, going to see live music. And I think a big part of live music that's also so great, especially... I realized this while I was at the Paul McCartney concert, while he was doing Let It Be, that like you are in sync with every other person in that stadium. And there were upwards of 20,000 people there that night. And just to have that energy like buzzing in the air around you, it's incredible.
It's a thin thread that connects everyone.
It still gives me the goosebumps today. It is.
That's awesome.
It's incredible. It's really
so
good.
Cool.
So yeah, so basically what we wanted to do with this is create this community podcast for other people like us, like the huge music freaks who don't have anywhere else to go, who think they're crazy, because I know some of my friends, when I go off about Jim Morrison and George Harrison, think I'm fucking insane.
You are.
I mean, you are, but also, like, I get where you're coming from.
Like, I'll admit it. Yeah, I am a little crazy, but it's fine. They're what I love. And
nothing wrong with it.
And it's
you do you.
Thank you. I
you
love
be
your,
you.
I love
you
support,
more,
Mike.
I love you more. It's a very loving podcast.
It is.
Lots of love.
Whole lot of love.
So it's
All you
just,
need is love.
guys, I'm gonna start crying.
Also, shout out Robert Plant. Robert Plant, happy birthday!
Yes.
The day we are recording,
First episode.
August 20th, we are recording this episode. It's Robert Plant's fucking birthday.
I
So
feel
happy birthday to Robert Plant.
Absolutely.
It's fate.
It's fate.
I think at the end of the day, Robert Plant is what brought us together.
Robert Plant has blessed us today.
He has.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Robert Plant.
Or something like that.
Or something along those
In the
lines.
name of Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and Bonzo.
There you go.
They are my religion. Anyway, so a little bit of what to expect from us. Our episodes are kind of going to range. We're not going to do the same thing all the time. Some of them are going to be history episodes or tribute episodes where we cover a specific artist or band and kind of give you the Reader's Digest condensed version / our ridiculous explicit version of their life history as well as their music history, and then how they impacted the music industry today. Because that's a really important thing that Mike brought up, was we don't just want to talk about old music. We want to relate to newer music too, you know, to keep our audience entertained and intrigued and whatever. So we'll be doing those episodes. There are some conspiracy episodes that we're going to do.
Ooh.
I know. So good. There's going to be some opinion hour episodes where we talk about our own personal takes on bands, either yesterday or today and whatever. And then we have some interviews lined up, and I'm not going to tell you who they are, but there are 6, potentially 7. We're waiting to hear back from one of them, and we're very excited about it. So we have that going on too. We also have a Spotify. If you want to look us up at Podcast in the Sky with Diamonds on Spotify, each of us has our own weekly Diamonds playlist that we're going to add to every week of little gems that we find, you know, throughout our day.
Whether they be like new songs, old songs, popular, obscured, anything in between, it'll be like 10 or so songs. We'll try to like keep it fresh every week.
Yeah.
Or so.
And it's going to be what we're digging at the moment.
Yeah. And
I mean, I can tell you, I listen every week. I'll listen to 10 different songs, but I will listen to them hard.
Yes.
I will listen to those specific 10 songs hard that week.
Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. Paul McCartney dropped his new single, the other day?
Yeah.
And
It's like 3 days ago.
I've listened to
Something
it
like
about 32 times.
That's good.
It's like 10 times.
That's a good song.
It's a bop. If anybody hasn't listened to it yet, Paul McCartney's "Fuck You" from his
F-U-H.
yeah, "Fuck You" from his new album that's coming out next month. Actually, Egypt Station. He's already released a few singles from it, and they're really good. I think he does one of them on Carpool Karaoke with James Corden.
Oh my God.
That's like a 15-20 minute long episode too, guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
At Carpool Karaoke and James Corden, please sponsor us.
We're just really looking for sponsors, guys. That's all this is all about.
Yeah, it's true. So we're and
Pay
we're
my
also,
bills.
I mean, we're gonna have our own personal playlist, but like when we do tribute episodes or history episodes or specific genre episodes, we're also gonna put out playlists of songs that we're gonna talk about and artists that we're gonna talk about. So after the episode that you listen to, you can hear that music and kind of piece together what we were talking about with it, which I think is really cool. We did that in my history of rock class.
Yeah.
With Christian Gentry. Like each chapter we would have a playlist that he made for us, and it was awesome, you know, being able to
Shout out to
follow along.
Gentry.
Yeah, we love you.
You beautiful human.
Sorry we did so shitty in your class. But
Yeah. Raising my hand, I did shitty in his class.
I mean, I did too, but that's because he does those morning classes. I'm not a morning
It's not
person.
his fault.
I know.
It's not his fault.
I
He's a
know.
great human being.
He's amazing. And when I went, it was awesome. But that was my problem, was attendance, because I just
I know, Meg.
getting up in the morning, Andrew, is so hard.
I know.
I love my bed, and my dog is in bed with me now. So
You only love your bed.
Like that
and my
song.
mama, I'm not sorry.
There you go.
And it,
That was like an ad
I
lib.
know that reference.
Had to do that.
it was good.
Ad libs.
So we're also going to be expecting stuff from you guys too. You know, like we said a little earlier, this is going to be a community podcast. You know, we want to hear what you guys are listening to. We want to hear your opinions. We want you to fact check us. Mike is raising his hand.
I'm raising my hand in the studio right now.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Please, right now, I'm challenging everyone that's listening to this episode. Please get on whatever social media platform you want to get at us on.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably Twitter. It's more fun. But get at us on one of the social media platforms and let us know you listened to this first episode
And what you want to hear.
and what you want to hear.
Like we already have, I basically already started a list of like 100
That's more
episodes
than
that we're going to
100.
do. Yeah, there's
Easily
a lot.
more than 100.
There's a lot that I've already covered, but there's a lot that I haven't covered, just because my mind's usually in one certain space. But we definitely want to know what
So
you
think
guys
of,
want to hear.
if you think of a topic, shoot it at us. Like
Yeah.
I wanna do
DM
shows
us, email us.
based around what people want to hear about. I
Yeah,
don't want to just be spewing some nonsense. I want to know what you want to hear about.
and we'll twist it so that it's not that
We
hard
wanna
for us
spew
to talk about.
nonsense about the stuff you want to hear. It's
Yeah.
not just gonna
Exactly.
be random nonsense. It'll be directed nonsense
We want to
Right.
spew nonsense, but not
in a focused way.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, we want feedback from you guys. On our website, I set up a page for sources where each episode I will list in a hyperlink all the sources that we use. So you guys can also go and check those out, whether it's a documentary or an article or whatever, just so that you guys can be engaged. I know as an English major and Andrew as a history major,
I'm all about my scholarly sources.
go humanities. We really like our sources.
Yes,
and
even
I-
though I'm like pretty sure in this episode later we'll be sourcing Wikipedia, so maybe do as we say, not as we do. But
Yes, we will be sourcing Wikipedia, but only for quotes, not like actual specific
yeah, so
hard facts.
sorry to all my professors whose hearts I just broke telling them we're sourcing
I know.
Wikipedia.
It's okay.
I sourced Wikipedia all throughout college, and here I am.
There we go. I bullshitted most of my essays too. It's fine. So yeah, basically we want to create a dialogue with you. Like we're not just here to talk at you. We're here to talk with you. We're not critics. We're fans. You know, we're just like you guys.
That was so poetic.
Thank you. Well, I do write poetry.
You do. It's
So
bomb.
I know.
Bomb poetry.
I
So good.
I know. Check it out on my Facebook. It's good. I just put a new poem up. Anyway, I don't.
Shameless plug.
Shameless
Yeah,
plug. It's a
shameless
shameless plug. It's fine.
It's a really good poem though. I'm not.
It's
gonna
really
lie.
good. I loved it. I cried.
Okay, so we also want to give you guys a little bit of taste as to what we listen to. Andrew, why don't you start us off?
Of course. So, kind of just says here on our list, discuss 3 favorite bands listening to recently or otherwise. But I'll try to give you guys a little background on me. So, I've always been into classic rock. I'm a guitar player. Been playing for 8, 9-ish years now.
As an aside, Andrew is an excellent guitar player and an excellent friend because this past year, if Andrew knows I'm sad, He'll FaceTime me on Messenger, and he'll play me Led Zeppelin songs until I feel better.
I'm an okay guitarist. Don't let her
Andrew's
fool you.
incredible.
You're a really good guitar player.
He is.
Shout out also to Andrew. He wrote the intro riff that you hear so beautifully.
He
It's
fucking
incredible.
killed it.
It's incredible.
It's okay.
Snaps for Andrew.
Like snaps.
Incredible.
I went into automatic caps lock as soon as I listened to that shit.
It's hard not to.
It was I caps locked and I was like, oh my god.
Andrew, it's okay to humble brag right now.
You
really
need to humble
talented.
brag. That's an incredible riff. Like, it's awesome.
It's okay.
We love you. We love you.
Andrew's
so shout
blushing.
out to Andrew.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I have a kind of a big shit-eating grin on my face.
Yeah,
This is
it's
going on.
adorable.
Anyway,
It's very pure.
so like some bands I'm really into now, I've always liked classic rock and just sort of that flavor, or just guitar-driven music in general. It's the instrument fascinates me. It's something I've been doing for a while now. So like I'll kind of like fluctuate random genres that seem to be focusing on it. So like to give a more specific example, like I'm always into Led Zeppelin. They'll always be like my go-to. Jimmy Page was like one of my guitar heroes. He was one of the reasons I picked up the guitar in the first place. Was listening to like crappy like warped Zepp records when I was like a sophomore in high. Well, no, it would have been before I was a sophomore in high school. But anywho, so I'm always really into Led Zeppelin. As Meg touched upon earlier, me and her saw the Sheepdogs. I've been really digging them lately.
They're good.
Check them out. They're, from what I understand, very popular in Canada because that's where they're from. But due to like the weird Canadian like arts laws about how their music is or isn't on Canadian radio, they're not super popular down here.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
But we can like totally do a whole episode on Canadian radio at some point.
All right. That sounds
If
good.
you guys
I'm
want
into
it.
that.
I'm also Canadian, so I want to know this.
So if our listeners want to hear about the weird Canadian arts law, which I can't remember the name of right now, add us if you want to learn about Canadian radio. Anywho, so I've really into the Sheepdogs. I'm also a like unabashed like huge fan of like 80s hair and glam metal and
Oh my
rock
God,
and stuff like
yes.
that.
He loves it, dude.
Like it's my guilty pleasure. Like
Don't be guilty about it.
well, I mean, when there's not a lot of people around on the road, just fucking crank down the windows and blast like pour some sugar on me and try to keep up vocally.
I can promise you that every single person in the universe does that,
Yeah.
whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah, but it's not like one of those things where it's on like the radio. It's like I will seek out
Me too.
Def Leppard and things of that nature. to
Guilty
crank-
pleasures, man. Everyone has
Yeah,
them.
like I love a lot of music from that genre because it's so like over the top and wild. And then lately I've been into like a lot of like synth wave, synth rock stuff. There's also another really cool band, ironically from Canada, that I'm a huge fan of called TWRP. They're a bunch of really cool dudes, and I'm actually seeing them in September down in Boston. So they're on tour right now with Ninja Sex Party and Planet Booty. So you should definitely check them out.
Shout out to
Oh my
Ninja Sex
God.
Party. Oh
That
my
sounds like
God.
one
Yeah,
hell of a show.
Danny and Brian, if you ever want to come on the show, please.
We love
I
you.
will fanboy really hard.
It'll be beautiful.
I'm gonna make this happen for you, my friend.
I will literally die.
I'm already starting to do one other band for him. I'm getting there.
I am gonna die and
We're not going to say who it is,
I'll
but
be resurrected and I'll die again.
yeah, he's going to leave his body. He's going to go meet Jesus. They're going to create an awesome handshake, and then Andrew's going to come back down with this awesome godly power because this band will be here.
Basically.
It'll be amazing.
Yeah, I'm into all sorts of random music though. So I'll listen to almost anything at least once. I might not care for it, but I'll at least try to listen to it, try to find something cool about it.
I can advocate for that. I'll send Andrew some music that is more my style than his, and he'll still give it a listen for me and give me his feedback.
Send us what you're listening to on social media.
We can't
please.
we can't stress that enough.
Please send it.
Yeah, it could be any one of us running the social at any given point. So,
Yeah.
there might be like 3 separate comments from our page saying like, hey, I like blank, blank, and blank, or I don't like blank, blank, and blank. So it could be any of us. Maybe we'll do a little signature at the bottom of the comment.
My favorite thing is when people show me new music. It's my favorite. It's my
Yeah.
favorite thing in the new world. I don't always in the new world. Why did I just say that? It is my favorite thing in the whole world.
In the new world.
In the new world. The new world also.
The new post podcast in the sky with Diamonds world.
But I don't
Exactly.
always like it. Like the other day, my friend Grace sent me a obscure Phil Collins song, which she actually tweeted at the podcast.
Yeah, she did. She shit on me
and
for it.
she shit on me for it. But you know what? I'm not always gonna like everything someone sends me. But like I'm always gonna listen and I'm always gonna give it a try. And I also shout out to Grace. I listened to that song like 5 times and tried so hard to like it.
At least you tried, man.
I tried so hard to like it, and
That's okay.
I'm not into it. Maybe I will be at some point though. There's so much music that I listen to
Yeah.
that I didn't like, but like years later.
Our tastes always change.
It exactly
I feel.
changes all
Right.
the time.
So then why don't you, Mike, tell us about some of the tastes you have now using that as a
Yeah.
fun little
So
segue.
I mean, I grew up on Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles, Elton
Mhm.
John, Billy Joel, like all of that stuff. My dad we had this stereo system in our basement, and he would just blast those CDs all the time.
It's amazing.
I mean, there's so many home videos of us when I was a baby and me just standing for the first couple times and like dancing around to records my dad had on. It's just like, it's just part of your, I mean, as far back as I can remember, I've been listening to music with my dad, and he's 100% the biggest person that had an impression on me music-wise.
Shout out to Mr. Miller.
Shout out to Dad. So I listened to all that growing up, and then I think probably the first band I ever got into was Green Day.
Hell yeah,
100%.
Green Day.
I mean, that was 100% the first band I ever really, truly loved and fanboyed hard about.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I begged my mom to take me to Strawberries. That's how long ago this was. Take me to a Strawberries music shop to buy American Idiot with like my allowance money. And it was like the American Idiot was the first album I ever bought.
Also, Mike can repeat American Idiot verbatim.
Yeah,
at any
specifically
point in time.
Jesus of Suburbia. I'll do it on an episode. But
Little side
so
episode.
that album, like, that was like the first band I ever loved, and I got into them so hardcore. I saw them last year for the first time, and it was like a very spiritual experience. But I mean, my music taste has changed so much. After that, I mean, I got into like punk and emo and all sorts of weird stuff. And like when I was in high school, I listened to All Time Low and Simple Plan. And
we all did.
The wicked emo stuff. And like, I'll still jam out to All Time Low. Like I listened to them in the car the other night and absolutely banged out. It was amazing.
Sometimes you need it.
But I think I've kind of settled into what I was meant to listen to. So my favorite bands are Dave Matthews Band. Obviously, I love them so much. I've met so many amazing people through their music too, just fans. And not all of them are great people. But the people that the people that I've met and the people that I've met and that I'm friends with are incredible people. I'm not going to speak for some Dave Matthews Band fans because they do obviously have a very, very negative connotation with some of them. But the Dave Matthews Band is probably my favorite band of all time.
Tell them how many times you've seen them.
I've seen Dave 13 times. It was my 13th show back in July at SPAC.
Whoa.
Most of my friends have seen him easily 100 times. So I'm a very noob to that. But
he'll get there.
Another favorite band of mine is Kings of Leon. I just saw them in Atlantic City. Incredible show. They blew my face off. Those guys rule. I could get into a whole episode about Kings of Leon. They just have the wildest story ever as their brothers, and it's so cool. So I love them a lot. And then my first concert ever was a band called OAR that stands for Of a Revolution, another jam band.
Love
and they're definitely another one of my favorite bands. I just saw them too, so I've had a great summer. I've seen all three of my favorite bands this summer.
Amazing.
So pretty cool.
Amazing.
And like, I have other favorite bands too, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Mayer. At John Mayer, I love you.
Sponsor us.
Also, John Mayer, if you come on the show, please teach me your guitar ways.
He's incredible. I remember when people were shitting on John Mayer for not having the guitar skills, and then he was like, you know what? Fuck you.
Basically,
and
he just went and like learned guitar, and now he's like
incredible,
crazy good at guitar.
I mean, his last album that he put out last year?
Banger City.
Oh my god,
Banger
it is so
City.
good,
so good.
And I love seeing how like him settle, into his style a little more because it's changed so much.
I think it's really cool because he started as we talked about this the other night.
We did.
He started as super pop. He came out. He was a huge pop star, and
Mike, your body is a wonderland.
Yeah. You're saying my body's a wonderland.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is not that kind of podcast.
This is not that kind of podcast.
Just for the second.
But he started John Mayer started as super pop, and now he's elevated into his own thing and just does not give a fuck what people think about him.
It's incredible.
And he just puts out whatever. Like, he doesn't care if his fans think it's trash. Like, he loves it, and he's really into what he puts out. I think that's awesome as an artist.
TBH, that's kind of what we're doing with this podcast.
I think it's great.
Fuck the haters. If you don't like us, don't listen to us. But if you do, we love you.
At haters, goodbye.
Goodbye.
But also, please like and subscribe.
Yeah. Also, please like and subscribe.
Yeah. So subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and check us out on Podbean.
Yeah.
We would love for you to listen more than just this one episode.
Yeah. Hopefully, we have a lot of really good stuff coming. Okay. Meg's favorite bands.
Yes.
Full disclaimer, and not a lot of people know this because everybody knows me as a Beatles fanatic. I used to hate them.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yep. Meg used to hate
I hate the Beatles.
She
so
did.
This is the first I'm hearing of them.
She went through her, oh my God, the Beatles are so overrated phase. Yeah, it happened to me. And long story short, they completely saved my life. I'm probably going to mention them a lot, and I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize.
They're a good baseline for a lot.
They are.
They're a very good baseline for a lot, and I think they did a lot for music.
They did.
They're not my cup of tea.
I respect that you respect them.
Yeah.
I do.
I respect them a lot.
I like all the Beatles music, but I prefer their more psychedelic stage from Rubber Soul and Revolver onward. The White Album is my favorite.
Strawberry Fields Forever.
There will be an episode where I'll talk about that song for like 15 to 20 minutes because it is music innovation at its finest.
I love that song.
And a complete accident.
I hate the Beatles. I love that song.
And it's one of the greatest songs ever. Okay, so baseline. Meg used to hate the Beatles. Now she really loves the Beatles. She also really loves the Doors. I'm talking about myself in a totally different person now. Yeah, okay. So I also really like the Doors. I listen to them all the time, but the past few weeks I've been really hard into like Jim Morrison's poetry and spoken word and solo stuff. So he was kind of crazy, but I mean, there's a lot of Jim Morrison history that we could get into that I probably will at some point. But so I really like the Doors. I also really love Led Zeppelin. I think they're like the ultimate rock band, really, at the end of the day. I also really like the Sheepdogs, obviously, because I went to Andrew, and that's a concert that kind of really sparked this whole thing. Over the past few months, I actually found this band called Mount Joy. That's kind of like an indie folk band. Completely fucking blew me away. Like, they're starting to gain a lot more traction now, which I'm really excited about. And me and my friend Allison are going to go see them at the Royale in Boston at the end of next month. Did you listen to them? I sent them to you.
Out of curiosity, because I don't know, how many members are there in the band?
Is
there a lot?
It's like a bunch of guys and one girl. I think there's like 6 or 7 of them.
There's like this running joke that like I think I saw from like the Hard Times, which for the other music nerds out there, follow the Hard Times on Facebook.
The Hard Times is awesome.
They're hilarious. They posted an article that said small indie folk band now have enough members to form their own township in Vermont.
But they're just, oh my god, they're incredible. Their songwriting is insane. Like their riffs are insane. I sent you their album. I don't know if you listened to it yet.
I haven't listened to it yet, but I had the opportunity to see them last year.
Shut the fuck up.
But I missed their fucking set at the show. So,
Mike Miller.
So they opened for Young the Giant last year.
Shut up!
Shout out Young the Giant.
Oh my god!
Coming full circle.
He is wearing
I'm
a
wearing
Young the
a
Giant
Young the
shirt.
Giant
Yeah.
shirt right now. I love Young the Giant. Anyways, they opened for Young the Giant and Cold War Kids last year. They did a tour together.
Cold War Kids was there too?
Yes, but I went out to dinner.
That is a fire lineup.
I went out to dinner before the concert and missed Mount Joy's set and got there right before Cold War Kids went on. So I missed Mount Joy. I didn't see them.
Well, I'm going. If you want to get a ticket and come with us and whatever.
Potentially.
They're going to be incredible.
I can't go into it blind.
Listen to their album.
I'm going to listen to the album.
I think you're really.
I'll at you.
I think you're really going to like it.
I'll at you.
I've been waiting for your response so patiently for the last week and a half. It's actually starting.
I'll do it before I fall asleep tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then I like a lot more traditional kind of folk bluegrass bands like Camp, spelled CAAMP. They describe it as 2 Ohio boys just kind of jamming out on banjos. And his voice, what I like about a lot of the bands that I do like is each of the lead singers' voices is so different. Like it's raw and it's raspy, and I heard this from a music critic. There's some people that can sing, and then there's some people that just have that voice. And in this case, Camp is both.
That's awesome.
Intense.
So I've sent Andrew some of their music, but I would also recommend if you want to try something a little more bluegrass and like
jangly guitars.
Yeah, they're really good to jam to. And they also have really incredible lyrics. So, I mean, my music taste pretty much also varies. I also jammed to like more mainstream stuff. Like when I'm going out on the weekends, I call Drake my weekend music. He gets me feeling confident.
Drake?
Yeah. I'll blast Drake as I'm like getting ready to go out.
His new album's fire.
He's like
it's so good.
Drake, if you're ever going to listen to this, you're low-key my hype man.
Are you
I love him.
To,
yeah.
The hit stylings of Drake Bell from Josh?
Oh my god.
Shout out to Drake Bell.
Yeah, Drake Bell, if you want to come on the podcast, please do.
Drake Bell is wild. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's good. So yeah, that's a little bit of our music taste and kind of what you can expect to hear from us and where our opinions are going to come from. There's definitely a timeline here where I'm a little more into the older rock and roll / classic rock stuff. Andrew kind of transitions us into the 80s and 90s, and then Mike Miller finishes us off in the modern era, the new age of rock music. Which we should clarify, we're going to say rock a lot, but rock to us is defined as kind of pop music, more popular stuff, because rock, back in like the 50s and 60s, that was a popular music. Like, it wasn't called pop like it is today. It was called rock. So I think that's an important.
Actually, it was called rock and roll.
It was called rock and roll. And in the next episode, we're going to get a little more into the history about that, which is really cool. But it is important to know that there are a lot of subgenres of rock. Like, the media has made it into this big stereotypical blanket term where you think of loud guitars and distortion and hair bands and stuff like. But it's not just that. Like, rock is just this greater picture.
It's very much a blanket term.
It is, and it encompasses grunge, punk, the starts of metal, with Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. They were like the grandfathers of metal.
Which,
metal,
not
can't even
to
talk.
subtract from Meg's point, a bunch of bands with loud guitars and distortion and crazy frontmen.
Yes.
But
well, yeah.
You get the idea.
Yeah, you
They're
you
very
kind of get the
different
idea.
sounds, even though they do all very much literally subscribe to that stereotype Meg just said.
But
Not all
yeah,
rock
they
music is.
definitely all have their own personalities to it. And rock also has classical influences. To go back to the Beatles, Strawberry Fields Forever had an orchestra. Eleanor Rigby, I believe, was the first I know Beatles song and possibly like classic rock and roll song to even feature an orchestra.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a hot take.
But then
Yeah.
you end up with the band Electric Light Orchestra.
Oh
band
my
that is
God.
literally an orchestra.
Mr. Blue Sky.
Got to see ELO this last summer, but I didn't, because they were in New York. So like me and my mom were gonna go. We didn't have like money to pay for a hotel to stay in New York on a weekend.
Yeah.
New York City.
Yes.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah.
Did-
We'd
you
had
should have
to-
tried an
I
Airbnb.
was gonna say rural New York, maybe.
But it was one of those things we had to pay for the concert tickets in New York City and then find somewhere to stay in New York City.
I would have just slept in my car.
In New York City?
People do it.
I'm sure people do, but I'd like to wake up in my car the next morning too.
I would like to wake up alive, preferably.
That's basically the idea, yes. But yeah, then you have bands like ELO and all these other crazy bands that will incorporate wildly different instruments that may not be traditional to rock, because then you also have like weird subgenres of punk, like Celtic punk, where you have guys like the Dropkick Murphys, where they're literally using bagpipes and like penny whistles.
Yes.
And like mosh pit inducing like punk songs.
We're going to talk about how culture influences these genres too, because like American punk and UK punk, totally different, and American punk was actually birthed from a lot of small town college bands that ran their own radio stations. And it was kind of a counterculture to a counterculture. They were like, fuck you hippies.
But we'll get into that in our counterculture episode.
Yes.
Because we don't want to spoil that before we
No.
get to
But yeah, to just like kind of touch on it a little bit.
Yes.
Andrew's keeping us on track.
Yeah, he is.
Andrew's in charge.
Yeah, somehow I got put on the captain's wheel of this absolute crazy ship.
Andrew's way better at keeping a
Podcasting.
focused mind than us, because me and Mike will go on about nonsense.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, to get back to it, thank you, Andrew. We're going to talk about bands that aren't your stereotypical rock bands, and then we're going to talk about bands that are your stereotypical rock bands and how they kind of all play into each other, from the 50s all the way till today. So it's not just going to be a specific genre or a specific timeline. We're going to try and cover as much as we can.
Of course, because you could like a band to like a modern pop sensation like Beyonce or something, but you could totally hate the Beatles, and you could say to yourself, well, how do the Beatles relate to Beyonce? Maybe they directly don't, but they could have influenced someone who influenced someone who influenced her.
It's like a
So
big
it's-
family tree
Yeah,
sort of
there's
thing.
a lot of like fun webs and lines you can draw between various artists and how they got to where they are today.
Right. So we're not going to talk about how rock or popular music is or isn't one thing, because it's kind of all meshed together. It's a big melting pot that has created the music industry as we know it today. And I feel like not a lot of people know.
Oh, yeah. But especially in 2018, which is, you know, when we get to episode 2, something I'll touch upon a little more, at least for one of my takes on something, but especially in 2018 in the current, like situation we are in musically, because you can go on, like, a bazillion different websites and find any sort of niche genre where you can find someone making some kind of music that you will enjoy somewhere, no matter how obscure or random that niche may be. Someone's probably out there making music like that.
Yeah.
And given the current, you know, connectivity of the world with internet and social media and stuff, whatever your opinions are or aren't about that thing, you can find someone making some pretty good music out there somewhere, whether it be like, you know, like I follow a couple like artists from Germany. I will never see them as their like local German artists, but they post really cool videos on their Instagram, so like I follow them and I like their stuff.
Right. So yeah, that's
pretty much a general overview of
I
how
think
things will flow.
I think that's pretty much where we should stop for today to give a pretty good segue into episode 2. We're gonna just to give you like a little synopsis of episode 2. We're gonna go into the original history of rock and roll, what people believe it is versus what it actually is, and then we'll kind of take you from there. We hope that you'll be there listening to us.
We know you will.
We know you will. Please like and subscribe. Facebook, Twitter. Mike's very very
at
active
us.
on
Remember
Twitter.
my challenge. Remember my challenge.
Yeah.
We want to see it. We want to give you guys a place where you can talk about this stuff and share your experiences.
And we want to give you shout outs too, because
Yeah.
shout outs are cool.
Yeah,
We,
you'll get shout outs and you'll be added on our various socials and you can get mad followers.
we'll follow you
yo.
back.
We'll follow you back.
Once we have mad followers,
I know.
though.
We'll like your posts, maybe leave you a fun, witty comment or a GIF.
We love it.
A GIF.
GIF.
All right,
I hate that.
That's it. Riff in the podcast. I'm breaking up the band. Goodbye.
Just because I said GIF,
Yep.
it's out there. It's a thing people think. I think it's GIF, but
It
people
is
think
GIF.
it's GIF. There are people that think the world is also flat.
Yes, but you know, we're not trying to evoke the wrath of the flat Earth GIFers out there.
Oh my God,
At Flat
guys!
Earth Society, please sponsor us.
Oh.
At Flat Earth Society, please sponsor
Oh
us.
Jesus! All right. Well, I'm glad we're stopping here because now we're gonna start making enemies.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you later.
Have a great night,
Bye.
everyone.